My name is Ross Saunders from the Socialist Party. This video is an appeal to everyone who's been involved in a campaign against injustice or oppression over the last period to think about how they're going to use the elections coming up this year to continue that fight. Here in Wales, we've had a powerful movement against racism and police violence developing as a result of two terrible incidents that have happened recently. Just a week ago, Moeed Bashir in Newport died after police were called to attend his home, and that comes just a month after Mohammed Hassan died just after leaving police custody in Cardiff. Protests have inevitably erupted, but not a single officer has been suspended, not even the one that was served a conduct notice because he ignored, according to the IOPC, Mohammed's pleas for help. The body cam and other footage must be released. There should be an inquiry held as well, headed by ordinary people, not by some stitched up establishment figures, into what happened and the wider practice of the police. And in my opinion, the police should be subject to democratic control of communities of ordinary working class people so that these incidents can't happen again. But we have to recognise as well that those kinds of demands are not being put forward by any of the main parties that are standing in the elections this year. That's why the Socialist Party has taken part with others in setting up a new organisation, the Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, whose purpose is to enable campaigners to stand directly in those elections. We're standing in the Welsh Parliament elections, in Scotland and in England in the council elections this year as well. And we've got nurses who helped organise the pay protests last year to stop the threat of collapse to the NHS by paying their workers a decent wage.
If we want to be able to give good care to our patients, if we want things to really change, we're going to have to change them ourselves. Thank you.
Some of the leaders of the student rent strike campaigns. We've got trade unionists and socialists that are fighting to change society as well. And we've got some activists from Black Lives Matter and other anti-racist campaigns. And we want more.
We need to be organised.
Tusk organised a conference recently bringing together some of these campaigners, and I want to play you a clip from one of them, Deji Olayinka, explaining why anti-racist activists should take part in Tusk as candidates and supporters.
I'm Deji. I'm a Black Lives Matter activist and a Socialist Party member. And last summer, really, we all saw the Black Lives Matter movement get huge, widespread popular support from people of all races all around the UK, showing that the UK is really ready to fight against racism and police brutality. And I was so proud to be at those demonstrations with people on the call today. But despite the mass support, it's clear that Labour, under Starmer's leadership, has completely abandoned Black people and the potential hope for building a multiracial and multi-generational movement to end austerity and to fight against racism. And it's for that reason that I, like many people today, can't vote for the Labour Party. The Labour leaks showed how racist Labour Party officials were bullying Diane Abbott, and now Starmer's let all but one of them back into the party. And I can't vote for Labour MPs who saw the Windrush scandal, but still report constituents to immigration hotlines. Labour think that they're guaranteed the black vote and that we've got, and really I think it's time that we've got to show them that this isn't true. Tusk is a real alternative to the Tories at the moment. Starmer's only recently been putting pressure on the government to sort out the dangerous cladding that killed so many people in Grenfell. But it shouldn't be workers and tenants having to pay to remove the cladding that's been left. It's the property developers who need to foot the bill. But Labour's not willing to say this because it's their MPs and councillors who are landlords and are profiting off these developments and the gentrification that's taken place. Labour no longer represents the needs of tenants or workers. It represents the interests of the capitalists, and because of this, he's let the Tories get away with murder. For months, we've barely heard a word from Starmer to attack the government's failures. Back when the infection rates were low, Starmer didn't say a thing about the lack of COVID testing in airports. He didn't call for travellers to be quarantined in hotels. And he was silent about rich flyers getting to skip the 2-week quarantine. But now, with a world-leading death rate, he's piping up about closing the borders. And it's not a dog whistle, it's a blowhorn, calling to the most reactionary instincts of the British people. And the funny thing is, I agree with policies like stopping travel, but rather than offering an alternative vision to how the country should be run, they're using anti-migrant language to appeal to the reactionary and the racist instincts of people, just like the Tories do. When Tory corruption was failing the country earlier and costing lives, they were quick to distract by pointing to the threat of poor migrants desperately trying to cross the channel. It's so reflexive that Priti Patel got asked about the UK having the highest death rates, and she was quick to blame certain vulnerable ethnicities. Like that makes any sense. But these attempts to use racism to divide workers and distract from the pains of capitalism will only continue as the Tories make workers pay for the pandemic. And this is why Tusk is so important right now. We need candidates who can unify workers and who support good jobs and decent pay. We need a political opposition that can offer workers the economic and political changes we need to get out of this crisis. And we need Tusk so we can vote for candidates who are fighting against racism, against police brutality, and for their community. So we won't be voting for the lesser racist party anymore. We'll be voting for the anti-racist one. We'll be voting for Tusk. Thank you.